Exponential Business Achievers is the unique fair opportunity for young generation and global citizens to learn from business game changers about their business journey, their thought, and their vision in times of exponential technology. And in this episode, my guest is Pascale Moreau, Global Chief Operating Officer of Markets, Business Transformation and Oversight at Societe Generale. Hi, Pascale.
Hello, Lobna. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you for joining this discussion in AI Exponential Center and sharing your thoughts, your vision, and some perspective about your personal and professional experience. We will address many topics today, and we want to keep this discussion very authentic. So this is one of the main value of AI Exponential Thinker. So before starting talking about professional, great experience that you have that approach approximately 3 decades. Let's start from your personal journey and let me introduce myself a little bit in back to 1992. You were a student at Polytechnic School, one of the best engineering school in France. And let's assume that I was your classmate at that time. Who was Pascale Moreau at that time and what was her dreams?
That's a funny exercise. Thank you for asking. And projecting myself back in these years, then I would say that, I was so proud and so happy to have integrated this big French engineer school. I think that what I wanted is to profit from everything which was given. It was a present of life. And then having access to all these very good quality teachers with great lessons, and also all these classmates, a lot of discovery of people. So it was after all these years, in France, you have the very long training period of class prepa, which is quite hard. And then where you do not see the sun most of the time for the one who needs to work like me. It was not given, so I work very hard, and I've been very it has been a fantastic gift, and then the idea was really to profit from everything, profit from the studies. Plenty of lessons were available with good quality teachers. It was amazing. Profit from activities, and we had also capacity to discover some sport, a lot of accent given on sports. So for instance, tennis, golf, or horse riding, or things like that. So it was great. I discovered also volleyball, playing in a team. Yeah, because in fact, no such sports doing during class préparatoire, where you are really from 8 to midnight in front of your books, learning, and then almost no sports. So it was also great discovery on that side with the campus, which was really great, and also discovering others. So discovering friends, and I found thousands of friends and very good quality relationship with a lot of them, and still some friends for life now that we follow up the one the other during our journey and during our developments in the professional life, but also in the personal life. So plenty of good friends from this period, very rich period.
And I know very well, I was lecturer long time ago in Polytechnic, so I know what you are talking about personally. Now my question, what was your dream at that time?
What was my dream? So my dream, I would say that at that time, what I wanted is to make the best of what I received. So profiting from this training period, but also trying to think of what would be my future job. And at that time, I knew that I would be interested by the financial markets or financial sphere as a whole, but I didn't know precisely. So it has been, I would say, a succession of opportunities to find my way through where I've been landing after l'X École Polytechnique. I did a specialization in answer, which is School of Economics and Statistics. And then after that, what I had in mind is to have a job where I could develop myself on a professional point of view, but also on a personal point of view. And being able to have this equilibrium, which is not so obvious to get to. You always have a yes, it asks some efforts so that to maintain it, but that's important to be able to do something else in addition to your job, so that to enrich also your vision of the work you're doing. So that's very important to get this good equilibrium. So that was my dream at that time.
Okay.
So built myself, built also a community of friends, having exchanges. You know, at that 20-ish years, you have plenty of energy and you want to profit from all this which is offered to you. And then that was the mindset in which I was at that period.
Great. So now we are in 2020, and a few months back, you were appointed as the Global Chief Operating Officer of Market, Business Transformation or Oversight at Societe Generale. So, which is, for the people who know a little bit, it's one of the biggest banks in Europe. So within this position of business and leadership, what are the main targets and challenges that you can share with us? And if you can also share your feeling at that time when you was appointed a few months back.
Yes, effectively, it has been a great promotion. So back in September, so it's quite recent. And I must say that I've been very pleased to have been offered that. And it was also something on which I think that I had to make my revolution personally. I've been, I would say, quite on the same area, being before I was head of sales, covering corporate clients. And I've been doing that for quite a long time, progressing vertically, I would say. I started as a quant after my engineer schools. So I've been doing some coding, pricers, etc., entering into models. And after that, I've been recruited as a trader during 4 years in Caisse des Dépôts. And then after this trading period, I've been poached by Societe Generale, so that to become a sales, so that to onboard some technical skills within the sales force. And I must say that I found an excellent team, which was really demanding, and a leader, a manager who was really inspiring. And in fact, I really had the chance to be on the same page with her. And then she pushed me to the upside. She made me grow in the structure. And at some point in time, in 2008, she left to take over another department. And she gave me the position. At that time, we were co-heads with another person. And in 2012, I've been global head. Alone, my co-head went into another area as well to develop himself. And I merged plenty of teams so that to build a very coherent gathering of skills. And I must say that at that period, I knew very well what it was about, selling some derivative products and the fixed income ones, to the large corporate, to the small corporates, to the payment services, to the acquisition finance team, etc., etc. So it was very large, and it started to give me the willingness to find out what could be the different source of inspiration. And I must say that I had the chance to grow vertically, and it helped me to build myself and to build this image of manager, of a leader, that with what I was really comfortable and proud with. Now, at this level, being CEO of all markets activity, that's a real challenge, because in fact, there are plenty of areas that I'm discovering. In fact, when you are a specialist on one certain part of the activity, you don't know the other. So finally, I have to jump in. So I did the jump, and I must say that it's a question of method, of learning, of discovering, but all the baggage, all the skills that you have built and progressed on during these past years, you can transform it so that you can pivot, so that to make it available for the team, even if you are not a complete specialist of all the area. So it's pretty much a question of being able to delegate, but also to keep a skin in the game. So knowing what is happening, but letting some specialists acting for you. So it's a kind of, I would say, a delegation, but in a trusting mode, but also a lot of exchanging with others. So you must build your organization in the team so that you can rely on people that are strong, solid, and specialists, but continue to inspire them, to stretch them to the upside, to steer them to the upside. So for me, the role of leader is really to continue to inspire them, even if you don't know the precise details at the very bottom line. Everything, you must not know that perfectly well. It's enough to know an area, a big certain part of the area, so that to be able to lead the whole thing. So I would say that what I can share with you today is that as for me, my target is really I arrive at a time where the bank is transforming, and then I must say that I was surprised when the global heads of markets were calling me. I was sales and I was specialized on corporates, and the markets activity are much bigger on financial investors. So what he told me is that he wanted to have something new. So on his side, also he trusts from start. I think that's a very good, very important element, because it can open the barriers and it can give a good chance to people in which you believe in, and it's allowed to develop. So my target, he told me, you will see the job, you do what you want from it. And in fact, you arrive at a time where there are many things to be transformed. So why? Because in fact, we arrive at a stage where, the financial markets, there has been the period into 1990 where it was exploding. So things were developing and it was brilliant. It was the growth was there. Every year growth was exceeding expectations. It's no more the case. So there are ups and downs. All the industry is under this question of maturity. So the sector is more mature sector now, much more mature sector. And there are also a lot of regulations that are putting a lot of weight on it. It's also all the legacy of the previous crisis. And also there has been some excess by the past. So I would say that, regulation, you must see it as for the good. It must be used. You must be compliant with it, of course, but look at it's for your good. It's for having good banks, good business, good interactions with clients, with a good commitment to stakeholders, etc. It's a whole equilibrium of the ecosystem. And then you have to transform all your business and your community and your factory so that it be up to speed to the new world. Our world is transforming all the time. Clients are changing. We are now into this ESG transversal theme, which we have decided to put it as a common denominator of all our market activities. This is something that I have launched very recently through all market. I tested it already on corporate, and it was very powerful. So in fact, having a view of that, which is a mega trend, which is a transformation trend also, and on the other hand, all the technologies that are I would say, progressively, deeply interfering and mixing with our approach, these two mega trends allow us to transform us deeply. So I arrive at a period of deep transformation. So that's very interesting. I have very good teams also. So we are there to write the next chapter of tomorrow. So that's my target, and that's also my dream and my challenge.
It's really impressive, and I think you speak about the leadership and the skills for the leader in order to know how to not only delegate but also build this trust, whether it's with the collaborators but also with the customers outside, which is mainly both of them, right? And all the shareholders and stakeholders. My point now is you are working in one of the main, I don't like the word stress, but it's a reality, right? One of the main stressful area in the world, right? It's about risk management. And as a speaker, you talk often about the art of managing risk. So we are curious to learn more about how you can break down your thought about this statement for our audience, and if you can give a little bit example.
Mm-hmm. I would say that risk is everywhere, and it's not only the purpose of financial activities, markets activity. There are risks in everything we are doing and starting, launching. So, in fact, being able to have this risk-reward vision in head that allows to put the right effort at the right place, also allocate the right resource, knowing exactly what you are targeting and mitigating the risk that you are taking so that to arrive to this landing point. So of course, when I was trader, then the risk was obvious. And now in my job of CEO, I have also in my on my remit market risk, counterparty risk, operation risk, etc. So there is a few teams that are dedicated to this follow-up. And by the past, what I did particularly, and that was probably what I was mentioning when we discussed, is that we develop with my team a vision of the risk management for the firm, for the corporate, and in fact for this corporate client base, which is not professional through the market. It's they are industrial, so their target is really to have a business plan, to make some bets on the future, on some products. So they are taking risk. Also, they are taking some direction in which they wedge themselves, and they expect to match what they said, what the promise they've made to the market, to the stakeholders, etc. And there are plenty of risk looming at the door. So, in fact, when I was when I grow within this area of sales activity, especially for the corporate client base, well, I switched from a posture of being selling things to a posture where I was identifying risk for the benefit of the client and opening them eyes so that to help them to point it out, identify, and find some solution. From time to time, solutions were just to be aware of that, and we live with the risk. We know what it is, we calibrate it, and the advice was do nothing because you can live with it. And if you do something, then it will cut you from profiting from carry position, something, etc. And then the advice may be do nothing, but it's not the same thing as doing nothing because you don't know. When you do something when you know is nothing in full awareness. And that was very important. So, of course, in many situations, the clients were looking at some solution that would make them transition from a raw material to a material with some hedging integrated in it. So just to give you some indication for a client who is doing an acquisition of a company that would complement his footprint, then this acquisition may be in another currency. And then the client will contemplate for funding himself. so that to purchase this asset or this company. And then he will get some proceeds in different currency, because in fact he will raise cash on one hand, and perhaps he will raise liability on another currency, and perhaps for his name, for his signature of credit, then the market which is open is more dollars than euro, which is the case for the telecom companies. It's more on the dollar than in euro. And then if it is a euro company, then you need to have euro proceeds. And then you have to make the appropriate transition with products that are adapted to it, and products that you understand, and products that you are able to manage over time. So in fact, there is a risk. The fact to identify it to clients is very important, because for this category of clients, and it was not obvious for them to have a clear view on that. So we were building for them risk analysis, so that to show the magnitude of it, and then having the magnitude of it, then it was giving them some elements of comparison. Wow, the risk is as big as the synergies I contemplate to get with this acquisition process. So you see, we're translating in their language elements of risk, because of course the first thing is to see them, but to understand them appropriately, and most of the time you need translators.
Can we say today that because in many verticals in the world, not in banking only, the more you know the customer, the more you can advise the customer. But in a time of uncertainty and unknown and very fast growing technology in many areas, right, that can impact the business revenue, can we say that we can say this statement, we can maintain this statement that the more I know the customer, the more it's easier for me to advise him, or not? It means, when I'm saying not, it means I need to every time update from scratch, think again, and be updated to the world, and not only to the customers, and to see, okay, now you understand my point, Pascale, I think.
Absolutely. You have the client, and the client is itself adapting to the world evolution. And well, you know, in the during the tension between US and China, there have been clients that, well, change their mind about their investment to do, because they said it's too complicated, it's not adapted to the situation I am now. I cannot afford to manage the risk attached to that or that investment. So effectively, there are the clients which are, I would say, orthogonal to the economy, but in what they are doing, they need to adapt. They need to see in which direction they can go, and is it fitting correctly to the evolution of the world on a macroeconomic point of view, on a geopolitical point of view, and on the regulation point of view also. So they must have a complete table of the situation, so that to be able to manage the right way. And finally, in this area of advising about risk, what I really like is that finally you had to make the link between real economy, which is the one of the clients, and the world in which we are evolving. So this is real economy. And finally, markets could be from time to time seen as artificial, but it's not, because in fact, all the market variables at some point in time are the result of the vision of all the actors through the market. So what we call the final, the ones that are just acting through the market, so that to get rid of a risk, or the ones that are investing deeply, etc. All these one-way moves are impacting the market. In the middle, you have actors which role is really to put liquidity in it, so that it be working appropriately. And then the market levels are just a result of the real economy, and also of, at each point of time, at each second, the thinking, the global gathering of the thinking of everyone of where it should be, taking into account the global equilibrium the different parts of the world.
And
so that's just fascinating.
Definitely, Pascale, and I think that this area particularly, it's very complex one, and it's complex because not only about uncertainty or fast moving of the world, wherever, but also because it's handling hundreds of parameters. And when you say this, I think technology can help too much, but it doesn't mean this is the only thing. That's why we will talk about later. But from now, I'm more curious also to know more about what are your advice, your piece of advice for young people who are looking to be entrepreneur or join the business workforce, not the workforce in general, but the business workforce, which is your particular area of expertise. And what are the key of success in such journey in general, from your perspective?
Yes, I've spent a lot of time in my previous role, and it will be very useful on this new one to think about how to make people grow, how to develop them. And in my previous role, I developed a community of young people. So you know the famous so-called millennials. And because I'm completely convinced that each part of, I would say, of age of maturity within the firm can bring a value. So there are value to get, to observe and to inspire from the young people. There is value from the more experienced one that can teach the job. But this job, tomorrow it will be different. And it's also very interesting to have the point of view of the young people. You know, I have 4 children, and the 2 oldest are in engineering school. And you know, in fact, from time to time, I simply get out of my posture of parents, just telling them, well, could you explain me how it works? So like a reverse mentoring, you know, during all these years, they are 23 and 21. So the 2 oldest. Well, I've been educating them, bringing them some, I would say, principle and allowing them to raise and to grow. And now I'm asking them, can you tell me things? Can you learn me? How do you do? And how does it work in your community? So, and with the millennials within the firm, it was the same thing, getting their strengths, getting the area where they are better than we have, and get enriched by, you know, the fact to cross the generation. So of course, as a older, I would say, colleague to these younger people, I'm also accompanying them a lot, so that to give them advice. As a piece of advice, what I would say is that, in fact, one guy must always be thinking about this 3 posture: learning, learn every day. As soon as we are doing repeated things, then not learning anymore, then we are wasting our time, and tomorrow it will be a robot that will be doing that. So always learning every day. A good reflex is to say, hey, what did I learn today? So when a young guy is entering into a new area, then it's easy to learn. But after 2 years' time, it's always good to think about how he continue to learn. And then to learn, there are different methods. You can learn by yourself, finding documents. There are plenty of documents on the net connected to our activity, or one can organize introduction to people, so that to have a discussion, an opening on some subject, on some sector, etc. So learning is very important. Imagining is also very important. You must imagine. You must project yourself in what will, and that's also a good method that I will take 2 seconds to explain this principle I have, and as for me, it's very powerful. So in fact, you know, everybody says we are evolving into a VUCA world, you know, a world which is complex, uncertain, volatile, etc. And then in this complex world, you say the complexity of markets is becoming enormous. To give an example, you know, we have some prices that provide 15 million of price per second. So you can imagine it's multiplied by 10 in 3 years' time. So it's enormous. And then, in fact, you may be feeling that the problem is complex. The situation, well, there is a dead end everywhere where I go. I don't see how can I sort it out. And then imagination will allow you to, it will give you wings, and you will escape to this gloomy situation. There are plenty of hindrance everywhere, so that to find out the solution. So what I'm always pushing them to do is to project themselves into a situation where they find the solution, they touch the target, the landing point, and after that, how they come back. Imagining is a key skill to get, and also being entrepreneurial. So you quote, what will you give as advice to this entrepreneur? It's very important to take initiative, to get out of the box, which is strictly set, so that to open the doors and give oxygen, and also unblock things. So being entrepreneurial is very important also. So I would say that learn, imagine, and being entrepreneurial is really advice to young people that should lead them during their whole career. Ask questions. So ask question, being curious. So this is through the three category: learning, imagining, and being entrepreneurial. So that's very, very important. The network, it's very important also to build his network. For young people, I think they perhaps have more skills than what when I was younger. In fact, it was less open, with the social network, with a different category of tools that allow you to demultiply your print. Then it's very important. And then I would say that building a network is very important, because it will accompany you during your whole journey. Professional period is long, and then it must be coherent. You must, from time to time, you will perhaps have a period where it will be less positive than some other, because you may find some difficulties. But to rebound, it's important also to have a good network, because it will help you, it will support you, it will open doors, it will exchange. That's also good to be able to exchange. In my career, I had a chance to have some very solid mentors, and I must say that I'm very grateful to them, because I would be quoting 2 women and 1 man that particularly helped me to grow, to progress, who trust me, and to which it was quite open to say, well, here are my difficulties. It could be whatever difficulties of positioning, of progressing, etc., etc. It's very important to have mentors. So also a good thing to have in mind, being mentored. And then after as a final point, I would say it's important also to show your commitment, your value. And in fact, there is a value coming from your commitment. So being committed, showing that you belong to the firm, you adopt the raison d'être, I would say the global reason of being of the firm. Is not, it's really something which accounts, because they are pretty much in the relationship between people. A lot of things are based on emotion. And then if you are hiding yourself behind a mask and you are not coherent with the role you are playing, then one day or another, into a difficult situation, you will be seen with your right face. So that's very important to be committed and to be true in what you are doing. Being patient, it's also very important, because you cannot get everything immediately. And as I was saying, the professional journey is a long journey, it's a long run, and you must from time to time also consider that from time to time you must wait, even if you are not losing your new ideas. from your mind because it will not be adopted, but the firm is not mature enough, then wait and don't forget to come back another time with this idea you had in your mind, and perhaps it will be the appropriate timing. So all in all, that would be all my advice.
I love what you said about mentoring as well, and how it's important, even if they are not your mentors, but to get inspired by such people, it's very important to point some of them in your career. Even if you cannot approach them, it's very important to follow how they think and what they are doing. Because sometimes we are not, everyone don't have this chance to meet the people that are inspiring you, but you can follow them, you can learn from them, you can know the people who know them, right? And maybe one day you have the chance to meet them, which was my case with many Greek leaders in Societe Generale. And you remember one of the who get us introduced, right, was Johnny Lebot.
Johnny, absolutely. I remember.
Back to that, and it was a great opportunity for me to observe you in your department and see your dynamism and optimism and how you work with your team. It was incredible, and I keep having those memory, which is amazing. That's why for me, being a leader, having those mentors, believing on yourself, as you said, is very important, and it's one of the pieces that you have to maintain and to keep it, because this is your own value and your own future and your own life. This is what I'm saying. Every time it's your own life, and you have to maintain it and to enhance it for sure with people around you. Now I want to talk about the digital transformation. You are coming in a world that is really fast growing, with a lot of trends, as you said, with a lot of expectation as well, with a lot of risk, but this is life, right? And this is business. What do you think about how you can encourage some company to accelerate their digital transformation and build new successful services when it comes to exponential technology like AI, robotics, virtual reality, and much more? You know, the list is long. So what are your perspectives in order to enhance the company to accelerate their transformation?
Yes, in fact, into my two trends, there was ESG, of course, but technologies also, which is very important. And today, I must say that we also switch commonly, collectively, into a different relationship with technologies. I remember back in the years when I was starting in the Salesforce, I remember it was a switch to, the FX deals are so numerous that some platforms were raising, and I remember that we were asking ourselves question, will platform steal our jobs? And I remember that, many sales were really cautious and didn't want to offer this platform to their client because they were saying, well, if the client trades through platform, then he will not trade through me. And then I'm losing the relationship, etc. And finally, in fact, I think that the demonstration has been given that not only you cannot prevent your client to have access to all the technology because the client will choose what he wants, but also it's really a pity to reframe the technology to enter into your business model. On the contrary, you must facilitate the adoption. That's crucial.